Okay, amazing. So thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Sunday evening, wherever you are. So I'm in Melbourne in Australia, and the weather has just been divine today. I don't know if you're in Melbourne as well. If you are, you can feel free to pop it in the chat. But yeah, it's been super, super nice today. So getting a taste of spring and summer, I think. So I wanted to just share a little bit today about energetics and Reiki, really beautiful things to do and on a Sunday afternoon, I think. And we'll finish up with a group healing as well. So if you're not already somewhere cozy or comfy, we'll get to the healing part at the end of the session. So you are welcome to either go somewhere that's comfortable now, whether you want to be in a bed or on a couch somewhere or on the floor somewhere. But when we get to the healing, it is a really nice opportunity just to sit back and relax and just receive, because very often we spend our days being really busy or coming from that place of giving as well. So it is just so nice to take some time out for you. So I will start just by saying thank you. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for taking that time out for yourself as well. So I will go through a little bit about what energetics is to begin with, and just energy healing in general, which Reiki kind of falls under this umbrella, I guess, as a modality. And I will talk a little bit more about that as well. I would love if you'd like to share in the chat, but I'm going to assume that and people watching the replay as well, I'm going to assume that perhaps you've studied Reiki before as well. Very often I have students come in who learn Reiki from me, either starting again at level 1, or they come in at and continue on their Reiki journey, whether it be from level 2 or onwards, and they may have studied before, or they have at least tried Reiki before. So if you've either studied before or had a Reiki practitioner give you a healing before, it'd be great to let me know if you want to pop that in the chat. I also just want to say that it's really normal for you to pop on and never have had a healing before. And I can see, is it Britty? Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, so many people come in. I know I've had students come into the courses before, and they honestly will sit there and say, I've never had Reiki. I actually don't know much about it. I just feel like I need to be here. New to Reiki and interested in what it is. Awesome. And I've only had one Reiki session. Yes, beautiful. Yay. I love this. And I've had a Reiki, like, gorgeous. Thanks so much for sharing. I love that. And I want to say, because I think that you are really trusting and honoring your own intuition and that pull, that you're drawn to something and you're following that and following, even if you don't understand it properly, or, it's drawing you here, and you are following in that. And that is it's so good, because you're coming from that place of trusting in your inner wisdom. And I have to say, first and foremost, that Reiki is really going to push you to do that, to trust even more, probably more so than you may have never done before. So I love that you're all here. I love that you're trusting in that. I've had Reiki before as well as, beautiful. Awesome. I'll talk a little bit more about other energy healing modalities and kind of how they all fit together as well. It's awesome. So a little bit about my journey, just to begin with. I I actually was receiving Reiki and kinesiology, and a bit of a mix of modalities for a couple of years before I decided to embark on my training. So I had started seeing my teacher as a practitioner in my late 20s. I'm 40, almost 41, a couple of weeks to go for my birthday. But so in my late 20s, just to give you an idea, and I had really struggled throughout my 20s with depression, anxiety, and an eating disorder, and which, you know, they're all sort of related in one way or another. But my mental health wasn't the best throughout my 20s. And I tried lots of different things, tried, you know, different Western sort of the way of getting through that sort of stuff, when I saw psychs and therapists, and tried all sorts of different therapies and things like that. And I was really determined to stay away from the medication. I thought, I know there's got to be more. There's got to be something here that is going to work for me. Not just want to say, Kavia, I'm not against, you know, medication at all. It just didn't feel like it was the thing for me at that particular time. And I wanted to try more. So it wasn't until I went through all the therapies and all of that sort of thing. And I really believe that everything is perfectly lined up on your journey in some way. And I'm not sure if you can relate to this, but I have found that one thing will lead me to the next. And that's kind of what kept happening. So, for example, there was this one psychologist that I was seeing, and he shared with me mindfulness. So that was kind of my, you know, dipping my toe into spirituality, I guess, with mindfulness. And having said that, I should go right back to my childhood, where I was super interested in crystals, everything metaphysical, everything sort of woo-woo and spiritual. And you know, I was reading tarot, and when I was, you know, 13 years old, and all that sort of stuff. And I loved all of it, but I really stepped away from it and felt like I lost myself come end of my teens and in my 20s. So mindfulness sort of sparked a bit of interest. And, you know, after looking into mindfulness and practicing that, I wanted more. And I started going to a Buddhist center and practicing meditation. And then from there, I was like, I just want more. I want more. And this is when I started seeing an energy healer. And I couldn't understand it. I didn't really know what it was. I just trusted in that, and I trusted in the fact that I felt really good. I felt amazing after my sessions. My life had started changing. And I don't think, you know, I never think it's just one thing that is the answer. As I said, I feel like things sort of lead us on through our journey. And the energy healing, as well as, you know, I started seeing a really good psychologist at the time. And then I found a life coach, and, you know, all of these things sort of came together. And I felt like, and many students also feel the same way when they find Reiki, felt like Reiki was just that missing piece of the puzzle. It was like that, you know, the cherry on the top, that kind of thing. So, it really, I think, cemented and sort of complemented everything else that I was doing. It wasn't until I started learning Reiki that I realized that this was so much more, and it was so much deeper than I had probably experienced it up until this point. So at the beginning, I learned Reiki. I did my level 1 because I thought I could help my now husband when we had just met at the time and in a relationship, and he wasn't sleeping very well. So I thought, oh, I'll learn Reiki. It's totally helped me sleep better, relaxes me, gives me all these benefits of being calm and peaceful and all this stuff. So maybe it'll help him. I'm going to tell you right now that that's not a good reason to learn Reiki. So Reiki is very much a self-healing modality. It is a self-discovery, a journey of self-attunement, I think self-knowledge and self-awareness. And it really is important that you are going into it. You may not know it at the time, like I didn't know it at the time, but when you start learning Reiki, if you're going in just with this idea that you are here only to heal others, you're going to get a real big shock, because it really tips that, upside down, that idea upside down, because you cannot get away from the fact that it is a self-healing tool, as well as being able to hold that space with others. But we'll get into why and how that all works in a moment. So when I started learning Reiki, I realized quite quickly that actually, this is for me, probably more so than it is for him. So when we think about that, we have to think about that idea of what healing is and how people heal. And that is certainly something that I did not understand until I started learning Reiki. And what I really understood at that time is that healing is something that the individual has to take responsibility for. And if I go back to, I was telling you that I used to go and see lots of different psychologists and different therapists and all that sort of thing. It wasn't until I started taking real responsibility for my own health and well-being and my own happiness and my own inner peace and all of those things that I really started to change my life, and that my life really started to change for me, because so much of my energy was actually on trying to find the right person to fix me. And I'm hoping that you might be able to relate to this, or perhaps you've been in a similar position, or if you're not there yet, it's, hopefully this is landing for you. But very much so, Reiki will again turn that around for you, and help you realize that, wow, everything that I really want in my life and everything that I am searching for is actually up to me. And so it is this incredible journey of self-awareness and self-discovery. And even if you only ever did level 1, you would get so much out of that. And it just kind of goes deeper as you go into the other levels. Please feel free at any times to stop me if you want to ask a question, or drop it in the chat as well. Feel free. So what is energetics, and how does that all work? And I guess, what is energy healing? So when we talk about energetics, we're really talking about that playing of energy, right? And I was recently watching the movie Oppenheimer. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but there's a scene in there. Obviously, it's about quantum physics, quantum physicist, and in a scene, Oppenheimer talks about the fact that everything is energy. He's trying to impress a girl, and he's trying to explain that, this cup, everything that you touch and everything that you see, everything in the universe is made of energy. And I loved that scene, obviously. I was like, look, everyone, look, see, this is what I always talk about. So it's very much not something that is new or woo-woo, but when we talk about energetics and this idea that we are made up of energy, and that, energy healing as a modality is really based on the foundations of quantum physics. It is based on science. Although this idea of quantum physics and that we're all energy is quite new, relatively, just about 100 years since Einstein sort of came up with this idea, and it's been proven since. But, lots of spiritual different teachers and different religions and ideologies have known about this for a very long time. They didn't necessarily call it energy or quantum physics, but they had other names for it. And so you would understand this. You've probably heard it. If any of you have done yoga, you would have heard the term prana. If you've ever had Chinese medicine, like acupuncture or something like that, you would have heard of qi. And ki, the word ki, is that Japanese word. So Reiki. Ki is that Japanese word for the universal energy. That's basically what we're working with when we're practicing Reiki. So a lot of other energy healing modalities work with the energy of the universe. Some of them will call it different things, but all in all, it's pretty much the same kind of idea. The idea is that we are working with our energy body as opposed to just the physical body. So our physical body is 0.00001% of actually what we're made of. So most of what we are is energy, is nothing. Is prana, is consciousness, is, whatever you want to call that is key. So when we're playing around with that, we're really working with that part of us that is also connected to the universe. It is that part of us that is really everything. And the beautiful thing about Reiki and these sorts of modalities is that it really helps bring us to this point of unity and oneness, especially Reiki, in the idea that it really is trying to remind you and help you remember that you are the entire universe. And very much so, we kind of think about it as the universal energy, as the foundation of, unconditional love, of this pure light energy of consciousness. And really, it's as simple as that. And very often you can think, oh, Reiki sounds so complicated and energy healing sounds so complicated. It's complicated because the way that we live our life day to day is very much based on the physical world. So, when you get up in the morning, you get up from a bed, you put clothes on, you're brushing your teeth, you're eating food. It's very much focused on the physical world. And everything that you see is physical. Everything that you touch, you think, you're touching something physical. And it's not often that we take time out in our day to just sit with this idea that everything is actually nothing and that we're not separate at all, that we're actually a continuum of the entire universe, that we are all very much connected, that I am and you are, I am. So I see the light in you and you see the light in me. I see the dark in you, you see the dark in me. We are one and the same. So Reiki is a beautiful practice that just asks us to remember that we are one, that we are divine, that we are love, that we are not separate, and that everything that we want, need, desire, everything that we've created, we have co-created, that we are responsible for that we are co-creators as well as the universe, and that we are very much responsible just as much for sorry, just meeting someone in here, that we are very much responsible for the entire universe well-being as well as our own. It's very beautiful in terms of the concepts and the ideas. When we are in this space of Reiki, I guess, if you want to think about it that way, when we are elevated into this space of higher consciousness, we are really coming from this place of pure consciousness, love. It's the highest frequencies, those frequencies that make us feel really good. And what happens when we're in that space? We are elevated and we are relaxed, we feel joy, we feel gratitude, we feel inner peace, and all of those things. So it does have a lot of those benefits in bringing us. And you can think about that if you have a daily practice of allowing yourself to get into that space, you are going to regularly feel elevated, feel that in that space of higher consciousness. Of course, it's going to have a flow-on effect in your outer world. So if any of you have had moments where you might have gone to yoga for a period of time, regularly, like daily practice, or you've done a challenge of like meditation, or some other sort of maybe it was journaling and doing practices every day or something like that, just naturally you start to feel like you're in a better space, right? You feel clearer in your mind, you feel usually a lot better in your health and wellness. Your sense of calm is more elevated. There's a lot of things that enhance in your day-to-day life. The biggest probably difference is that you can cope with the chaos of modernity, right? So your modern world and the modern way of living, which you're all, I'm sure, aware of, is a lot easier to cope with than, for example, when you don't do these regular practices. Reiki is, I'm talking a lot about energy healing, but Reiki in itself is fundamentally like a meditation practice when it's a self practice, because it really is kind of getting you to that same space as a meditation. A meditation is taking you to a space where you are one, and just as we were talking about, it's taking you and elevating you to that space where you are, forget that you are separate, you have clear mind, and you remember that you are the entire universe. And Reiki is exactly the same. The pathway getting there is just different. So Reiki, a lot of people find that when they have a self practice of Reiki, it's just a bit easier. If you've ever struggled to just quieten the mind, and struggle with your kind of regular meditation practices, very often a lot of people find that Reiki really helps them to get that same benefit, but it's a little bit easier. And the reason is because it's not about trying to still the mind. It's not about that. It's actually saying to you, okay, that is where we're trying to get to. That's the end goal, right? Where we get to oneness. But usually we have to do a whole lot of work before we get to that space where we feel completely one. And it's asking you to really be curious about what is blocking you and what is that resistance between where you are now and getting to that space. And that is the Reiki practice. That is the practices of doing Reiki. So hopefully that answers a little bit of questions that you might have about kind of how it works and what Reiki kind of is. Naturally, for those of you who have experienced a Reiki session before, or if for those of you watching the replay and you've practiced Reiki before yourself, you would know that when you're in that space where you are super relaxed, and this will happen in all sorts of energy healing. If you've ever experienced a sound healing, a crystal healing, or otherwise, you will know that very often you start to really move away from the monkey mind, and you almost start to get into that space where you're falling asleep. You're kind of in and out of consciousness. Maybe your body jerks a bit and you're kind of like dreaming but not dreaming, and you don't know really you're kind of there, not there. That really is the optimal space to be in for healing to work. It's this space where our subconscious is actually really malleable, and we're in this space where the ego's kind of dropped out of the picture, and whatever we're doing and saying and whatever we're experiencing here really can have a genuine healing impact on us. And again, allowing ourselves to get into that beautiful space regularly really has an incredible impact on the actual, on our day-to-day life, which is the whole point. The whole point isn't just to have exceptional experiences of like feeling really high or feeling really joyous and blissed out, for 20 minutes a day. The point is that you want to be able to cope with the stuff that life really throws at you, right? And let's be honest, like it throws a whole lot of shit at us a lot of the time, right? So it's about creating some practices, creating something that is a beautiful coping mechanism. So some of the other benefits I've talked a lot about, it helping us stay calm and peaceful, does certainly helps with anxiety, it helps with stress, helps with management of pain, physical and emotional. It helps you protect and understand. I talked a lot about self-awareness at the beginning, because it helps you really tap into your own energetic awareness. So I think this is, I'm going to take a guess that many of you are sensitive and feel quite sensitive to other people's energies. I know that I am like that. And that was one of the biggest things, a huge thing when I started practicing self-Reiki, is I started realizing that, hang on a second, I know how my energy feels this morning. And I know that when I've gone out with that person, or when I've gotten a phone call from that, or done this or whatever, I've actually noticed my energy shift. Or I'll just be out and about and suddenly I just feel this bout of anxiousness. And I'm like, who is that? Where did that come from? That is definitely not me. Or you can start feeling all these worries, or you're wondering what the hell's going on. Like, why are you thinking about these things? It just pops out of nowhere. Or just even noticing when people trigger you, really getting to you, and you sit there and you're wondering why that person, and why does it happen with me and not them, or whatever. Just helping you really understand what is going on with your own energy and being able to manage that a lot better. So that's been, that not just for me, but for a lot of people, it's a huge shift for them when they learn Reiki as well. Another one of the benefits too, I think, is, as I mentioned earlier, just allowing yourself to get into this beautiful space of unconditional love. And, unfortunately, or I guess, it's just part of, I guess, some of the, I guess the pathways that life throws at us, but some of us have never experienced unconditional love. And I think that Reiki can very often offer just this sense of what that is, and help us to learn what that really is and what that feels like. When we're in that space of feeling completely supported 100%, completely loved 100%, regardless of what we've done, who we are, what we are doing, or what we're thinking, or what we're believing in, or whatever, regardless, it really meets us where we're at and still reminds us that we're loved, and that we are love. And they are huge things. They're really huge things, and that we're deserving of love. And that can be really big for a lot of people. I know it was huge for me. It was huge for me. It was always one of the biggest things that I really struggled with, was that idea that I wasn't worthy of love. Not only other people's love, but I certainly wasn't worthy of my own. I was probably very, very down the list of, people that I felt worthy of love from. And I think, it's a journey that you go on, and Reiki just opens that door and invites you in. It's like, hey, do you want to start this journey? And really that's what it's been, and it continues to be. I often will say that Reiki is the gift that just keeps on giving, and it just keeps on developing over time and deepening over time. And again, only if you ever did level 1, I believe that you would still get so much out of it. I also think that one of the other things that is really important about understanding with Reiki is that a lot of people will think that, oh, if I just practice on others, that will be enough. Like, I will elevate my own vibration, which absolutely happens when you're practicing on anything. So anyone and anything, you're naturally going to elevate your frequency, your vibration, your energy into this state of unconditional love, into this state of Reiki. And when you're there, though, absolutely, it has lots of benefits, and that's probably one of the things that differs between Reiki and a lot of other modalities. As a practitioner, if any of you are thinking about practicing as a practitioner, it's because it doesn't really exhaust you or need you to use up so much of your energy. because if you remember, we are talking about the universe's energy. I not once said to you, Louise, it would be Louise's energy that you're connecting with, or Marissa's energy, or so on. It's the universe's energy. So we act as a channel for this energy just to work through us. And so we're elevating at this frequency. And what happens is, when you're elevating at this frequency, naturally you help somebody else also come up to that frequency as well. So just as, when someone triggers you or someone's in a bad mood, you might feel like you're in a bad mood. I don't know if you've ever had that experience before. You could be in the greatest mood, and then you hear someone say something, or you catch up with a friend and she's really flat, and then you leave and you're feeling really flat too. It's exactly the same concept, that when we elevate into a higher frequency, you naturally elevate others in a higher frequency. So that's why it's such a beautiful gift also. I think even if you're not feeling like you want to practice on people professionally or as a practitioner, as a career path, but even just to have that as a gift to give to others, loved ones. There's been so many times couldn't tell you, couldn't reel off all the times. There's just so many moments where, whether a friend's, pregnant, or someone's gone through a breakup, or, my kids are sick, or whatever it might be, where it's just so nice to be able to have Reiki, to be able to offer that to somebody. Even recently I was, on a holiday, and I went and caught up with a friend of mine over there where she lives. And I had no idea that she had been going through a really hard time, because, we hadn't seen each other for a while. And as soon as I got there, she was just in tears and talking a lot about what was going on. And it was so nice to be able to just hold her in Reiki. It was so nice just to say to her, let's just sit on the couch and let me just hold you in love. It was just so beautiful. And she kept talking away, and I kept just listening and holding her in Reiki. And it's moments like that where you, where I do often feel so much gratitude, because very often you feel like you can't help someone, you can't do enough for somebody, but it is a really very, very beautiful gift. Yeah. Margarita is really, really special. But again, I also feel like, as much as it helps you when you're practicing on another person or another thing or a pet or whoever, it's still so important to disconnect from others' energy, right? And just come back to you and practice on the self as well. And remember to give you that time, you that space, you that love. It is such a gorgeous act of self-care and self-love. Absolutely. So I might just go into how it's taught, and I'll talk a little bit about lineages and how that's evolved over time. And also I'll talk about the different levels. Ash just said, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I can totally relate to wanting to help. Yes. Yeah. It is so special, so special, and so gentle. I don't think I've mentioned that, but it's one of the things that I love about it is you can literally practice on anyone. It doesn't matter if someone's got one leg or is going through a really, hard time, or they've just had a surgery or whatever it might be. It's just completely non-invasive. It's beautiful. It's just love. And often, I get that question as well, like, oh, how often can I practice on myself, or how many times a day? And my answer is, how much can you love? Like, it's infinite. And that's exactly what Reiki is. It's completely infinite and just so gentle, so beautiful. So the Reiki began as a formalized practice in Japan in 1922. So we celebrated the centenary last year, which was very exciting. And I actually went to Japan this year for the centenary celebration. So that was it was an incredible experience. And it was formalized by a Buddhist monk called Mikao Usui, and Usui Sensei, so Usui, our teacher. And he was a Buddhist, but Reiki is not, it's got nothing to do with Buddhism in terms of, there was lots of inspiration for the modality from lots of different spiritual teachings. So Mikao Usui was super interested in lots of different spirituality and religions and all sorts of teachings. He traveled quite extensively, always looking for enlightenment, and he was really on that path of understanding what healing is and how do we heal. So it's inspired by lots of different things, but he practiced as a Buddhist monk a little bit later in his life. And since then, he actually died soon after. So soon after he sort of had his enlightenment moment and Reiki was kind of formed. And he started sharing it with others, but just 4 years later, he actually died. And so what happened in that time is that a lot of things started evolving after his death. They also started evolving at the very beginning. So as soon as he started teaching it and passing it on, and I think that one of the reasons is because Usui Sensei was very clear about the fact that Reiki was about reconnecting to oneself. It was never about, you must follow my ideology, this particular process. It's about connecting to me or connecting to, he wasn't that guru idea, if you know what I mean. It was very much about, this is about a path to remembering, and this is about you connecting to your light. It's you connecting to you. And I think that was, definitely one of the things that drew me in, was this idea that he very much had ideas about ways that he could help people to do that. And that's what Reiki, as in the modality, is about. It's about, hey, here's a whole heap of things that we can teach you on how to do that, but really this is about you really connecting to who you are. So when we teach level 1, it's about that foundation. It's about teaching you the very basics of Reiki, what it is, all that sort of stuff, the self Reiki, and how to connect to that energy, all of those things, and then how to do that for a loved one. And you learn hand positions. But the beautiful thing is that you continue learning hand positions and processes, a guide on how to do these things. But as you continue on through to the mastership actually asks you to unlearn all of that stuff and really just asks you to let go of everything and come back to who you are. And that's really the process of, I guess, of reaching that place of enlightenment, of reconnecting to your truth. Whatever you want to call that, it's about really connecting to that place that is your divinity, that is your the truth of who you are, the essence of who you are, that infinite part of you. So it's evolved over time, and because of that reason, we have so many lineages, and I guess think of them as like family trees, like beginning from Mikao Usui, and then you have people that he taught, and they went on and taught others, and so on and so forth. I've actually learned Reiki several times with different teachers from different lineages, because I wanted to know what the hell they all were and what's going on, and I wanted to make sure I was also teaching from a place where I feel like I was genuine and authentic, and I wanted to be able to really be able to share with you the differences as well. I don't think any type of Reiki or any lineage or any teacher is better than the other. Honestly, I've been teaching now for 7 years, and which really isn't a long time. I always feel like every time I teach an individual or teach a class, I feel like I'm coming in for the first time once again, because it's continuously teaching me something as well. As I said, it is the gift that keeps on giving, and students are always teaching me as well. And it also evolves for me. And I think that we choose teachers because we need that particular person at that particular time. And so when we are ready, I always feel like the teacher is there magically somehow. Universe sort of matches us up, as it does with all things, matches us at the right time. And so even today, if you felt like you wanted to continue and keep and learn with me or not, maybe it's just to give you an idea about what that is, and maybe the right teacher for you will come along as well after that. Once you say, yes, universe, now I'm ready. I feel like I got a really good insight into what Reiki is. Please show me who my teacher is. I didn't feel like I connected, or Loretta was the right person for me right now. Show me who that is now. And sometimes our teachers evolve. So as I said earlier, sometimes people come to me and they've already learnt once with somebody else, and now they're learning with another teacher. It's a very common question I get, which is, do I need to stay with the teacher right through my courses? You absolutely don't, but you absolutely can as well. And you can also practice again and again and again, like I have. I recently just finished my mastership, my levels 1, 2, 3 with another teacher as well. So I think that every teacher, every lineage has something to share. It's about, I would say as well, understanding what kind of, is included in the courses that you're doing, but also, most importantly, you need to connect with your teacher, just like you do in anything that you are doing, just like you would with your therapist, or just like you would with your hairdresser, you would, or your yoga instructor, whoever it is that you are going to see, or, it's most important that you feel like you connect with them, and that you feel like you can learn, that you really want to learn from that particular person. Because learning Reiki is, if you haven't already, if this hasn't been obvious so far, it is like a self-development course. It is a healing journey in its own, on its own. So the healing really begins as soon as you say yes, as soon as you sign up. It's almost like universe starts throwing all these things at your way that are going to help elevate you and take you to that space where you begin healing, begin the healing journey. So after level 1, we move into level 2. And as I said, some people just sort of stop at level 1 and feel like that's enough, and they just want to learn the basics and they feel like they can roll from there. Level 2 is the practitioner level. So if you are feeling like you want to practice or add Reiki as a modality to an existing practice that you have, existing modality or therapy or something like that, you must complete level 1 and 2. And that's not just through my lineage, it's through all lineages. That's sort of the rule, if you like. To get your insurances and things like that, you must have completed a level 1 and 2 certificate. But that's not the only reason to do level 2. So what happens with each level is that it does deepen. It deepens your healing capacity. Your connection deepens a lot more to yourself and to Reiki. You also start to learn more advanced kind of practices and skills. So at a level 2 level, we don't just learn what is just a hands-on healing, but we also start to learn how to do things over Zoom or by distance, if I've got a friend or a loved one overseas or a client overseas, and how do I actually do a distant healing or a non-face-to-face healing. You also learn symbols, which are just additional tools to help deepen the practices of Reiki. In level 3, through many lineages, you'll just find there are 1, 2, 3, and 3 is the mastership teacher level. And you don't have to complete it just because you want to become a master or just because you want to be a teacher. Again, it's about that self-development journey as well. Some level 3s, a lot of level 3s will just stop there, and they are quite short as well. They'll just be like a weekend or, a week or something like that. Our mastership level is actually a minimum of 5 months. So the reason is because it is like an apprenticeship style. It is a mentorship. And it is a real self-healing journey. It is a journey of self-mastery as much as it is about also helping to heal others. However, it's a personal journey. So a lot of people do the mastership because they just want to do it for themselves. And, you know, some people never practice on another person until well after completing their mastership. I've had many students do that. Others from level 1 are like, I want to be a Reiki practitioner. I want to teach Reiki. I love it so much. It was a bit like myself after level 2. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've got to share this with the whole world and I can't wait. And I couldn't do it fast enough. I just loved it so much. And that, you know, there is also components that are of teaching Reiki. So it's really a personal journey. And again, as a guide, it's really about meeting you where you're at and what you want to get from it as well. So the mastership is a longer container. So we have a level that bridges level 2 and that full mastership, and that is 3A. So it's like you have 3A and 3B. So 3A is very similar to level 1 and level 2 in that it's just it is a level on its own. You have you get a certificate for 3A, attunements, guidebooks. You know, it's a full level on its own as well. But it is kind of that introduction to doing the full mastership. All the levels are either done, you can do them privately, you can do them in classes, you can do them in person, you can do them online. There's lots of different options available. And it's really up to you as an individual, what works best for you. I noticed that a lot of people prefer doing classwork because they like to be part of a group and, you know, like to share that with others. But then some people really want to have that private mentorship and want to go at their own sort of pace and so on. One of the things I also offer is abridged versions. So let's say, for example, you've done a lot of energy work or a lot of self-development before, you're feeling quite, you know, or you've practiced Reiki before, there's an option to do level 1 and 2 abridged. So it's like just like shorter versions or things like that. But those things are things that we can talk about, and you can decide whether that's the right option for you, because it's not for everybody. And you certainly don't want to rush this thing just to tick it off. If that's what you're looking for, my course is certainly not for you. But there are, you know, there's lots of like courses out there that are quick and are really just about getting a certificate if that's what's important to you. But regardless, I think it's really important to honor that Reiki is a very sacred self-development and self-healing tool. And it's important for you to be doing that in a way that really honors, I think, what you need. And you know, I think you owe yourself that space and time as well. It's really, really special. So I think that is all that I wanted to share before we jump into a group healing. But did anyone have any questions for me? Because we have time if you'd like to ask away. Anyone have any questions? No, we're good. Whether it be about Reiki in general or crystals, if you wanted to ask anything, which I also teach about, or if you just got any questions on courses or anything like that at all, just let me know. No? Feel free to jump off mute or ask in the chat if you like. Okay, well, if something comes up, please let me know, and you feel free to email me afterwards or pop it in the chat as well. I would love to do a group healing for you now, which you do learn as part of the level 2 training. How long do you? Yeah, good question. So level 1 and 2, level 1 is a full day of live training, but with my courses, I actually have a whole heap of resources that you get access to before the live training. So as soon as you register, you get access to it's a huge Google Drive of all these resources. You have pre-course work to complete. It's just self stuff. So it's not like it's not a whole, I don't want to think about it like it's a whole heap of homework. It's really stuff that just helps prepare you for level 1. And also it's so you get that about a month before we do it. And then you also get access to some resources that you can go through at your own kind of pace. So there's a couple of things that I want you to do before live training. And then there's a whole heap of other stuff that you can do at your own time. And the reason that I do that is because I also understand that a lot of people, so one of the examples is there's a whole heap of resources on chakras. And, some people know a lot about chakras and some people know nothing. So I don't want to take up valuable time in the course day where we could have great discussions about, other things. So my courses tend to be quite transformational, quite self-developmental, if you like, because there is a lot of focus. A lot of what we talk about is not so much theory about Reiki and that sort of stuff, but I really want to make it about you and, turn it into a course that is allowing you to really get the most out of it for yourself, as well as learning how to do that, being held in the Reiki energy and love, which is really beautiful. Level 2 is the same. It's exactly the same. So it's a 1 day. And again, you have the pre-course work as well. So if you do it, that's the classes. If you do it privately, I'm usually more flexible and, sometimes I'll break them up, like level 1 in 2 parts and over a couple of days, things like that. So it just really depends. But the classes are, whether it's in person or online, it's 1 day. And okay, Louise, how to book in a session of Reiki with you? I actually don't take any clients at the moment to book in healing sessions. I do see my students, and I do sessions with my students only, but I don't see any public clients at the moment anymore. I've just booked at the moment. So maybe a little bit later on I'll see, but feel free to email and I can chat to you a little bit more. Margarita, yes, I'm very excited to meet you in November as well. Okay, so let's get into the healing. I should say as well, after your level 1, 2, and 3A, there's also a follow-up. It's just optional. So that's online, just to follow up, and we do a group healing and just after the 21 days. So I like to take some time for you to integrate, and it's just a beautiful opportunity to come back together and ask questions and have a healing, which is always really, really nice. Okay. All right. And the other thing as well is that once you sign up for the class 2, you also get to join the Nourished Energy community, which is we have a Facebook group and we have newsletters that go out every week. In the Facebook group, we have healings, like group healings. We have lots of open questions and opportunities to connect, but I also do masterclasses, whether it be with myself or very often I'll invite someone outside to come in and teach. So I'm really committed to making sure that you feel like there's ongoing training and support as well, because I feel like, again, even if you just do level 1, there's, you know, it's just the beginning of your journey probably, or it's like halfway in your journey, or somewhere along the way. And I'm sure you're not completed, and, you know, you're still wanting more support and information and things like that. So yeah, the community is really beautiful. I have to say, one of the best things about it is the connections that people make. So many people have made really close friends out of the community, which is really lovely. I wanted to build a community where people could feel like they have the same sort of people around them. I know when I started this journey, it was very lonely. So yeah, it's a really beautiful one. Whether you practice with others or whether you just continue to do this work for yourself. All right. So I'm going to take you through a little practice now, and I'm going to teach you something very little, give you a little snippet about Reiki, which you may or may not know. But we talked, I mentioned chakras earlier. So in the Western kind of way of working and spiritual practices, we focus on 7 main chakras. So I'm sure you've heard of the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, sacral, and the root or base chakra. Very, very common in yoga and other sorts of, healing modalities. Originally in Japan, though, they focus on 3 chakras. So we have the head, the heart, and the hara. And the hara, the reason that I want to share this with you is because I really love this little practice that we're going to do before I move into a bit of just a healing for you. And the hara is that center, so that the chakras are energy centers, and your hara is your energy center that is kind of located where the sacral is, if you're familiar with that. So it's like just under the belly button. But the hara is in the center of your body. So if you think about between your tummy and your back, so it is located in the center, and it is the center of your life force energy. So the Japanese believe this is our center of self. It is the center of who we are. So when you think about the idea of centering, so I want to come back to my center, or I'm centering myself, that is where they would focus on the hara, that spot there. And now when this isn't feeling great, you can imagine, we don't feel great. We feel out of balance. We feel like our energy is a bit flat. We're probably not feeling very motivated or, super centered in any way whatsoever. So I want to take you through a practice that is going to bring you back to your center, bring you back to your hara. So we'll do that first off, and then I'm going to move into, I'll put some music on and hold you in Reiki energy through a group healing. So what we're going to do to begin with is I actually want you to place your hands on that part of your body. So you can stay seated or you can lay down, whatever you like. And you're going to put your hands where your hara might be. Obviously, you can't get into the middle of your body, but if you just want to, either on your back or your tummy, whatever feels good for you. So just under the belly button. And what we're going to do to begin with is just breathe. So I'm going to ask you to inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And the reason we just start with our breath is because it is a beautiful reminder of our life force energy, that we are alive. And our breath really allows us to bring our focus back to the self when you focus on your breath. Now, on your next inhale, I actually want you to set the intention to breathe in to and direct your breath inward to the hara. So for some of you, that might be a feeling. For others, it might actually be a color. You might sense something. So just go with that, whatever whatever imagining that means for you. So imagining that you're bringing your breath right down to your hara. And as you set that intention with your breath to breathe in, I actually want you to say or think about calling back your energy, calling back fragments of you, fractals of you, pieces of you. So we all have probably spent part of today interacting with others, maybe throughout the whole week. This is such a nice practice to do this at the end of the week before we head into Monday. Just setting the intention to call back your energy, call back parts of you, things that you may have left out with others. Call them back into your hara, to that part of you, that life force energy. And then as you exhale, again, you might see a color here or sense a vibration, a sensation, whatever it might be. See, sense, feel, imagine. I want you to set the intention that you are breathing out from your hara and letting go of anything that does not serve you. So things that you have picked up from others now, I want you to let that go. So we're just going to do a few rounds of this, setting intention. So breathing in, calling back everything that is in your highest good, everything that you may have left out there. And as we exhale, just letting go of anything that does not align with our highest good, anything that doesn't serve us, anything we have picked up from others. We just want to let go of that now and setting that intention. Now, as you do that, can imagine that area perhaps getting brighter, stronger. Again, maybe it's a color, maybe it's a sensation. Imagine your hara just feeling your energy becoming more powerful, more empowered. It really is from this space where our power is. It's really affirming to let go of anything that doesn't serve you. And perhaps, different moments from the week or the day, different people are kind of coming into your awareness. It's beautiful. It's great. It's showing you things that haven't served you or places where you may have left your energy, and just affirming now, just let that go. Don't need that. Don't need it. Just letting that go. Just letting it be, returning it back into the universe. All energy has the possibility of being transmuted. Anything fear-based, anything that is a lower frequency has the possibility just to be transmuted back into love, back into something higher, back into something for the universe and the highest good of the universe. So just affirming that, letting it go. And hopefully this has helped you just starting to feel a little bit more relaxed, a bit more centered now. Now I just want you to either keep your hands there. Maybe you want to place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Maybe you want to move positions now, get comfortable. Maybe you just want to let go of your hands completely. Maybe you want to hold a cushion or get your blanket, whatever makes you feel comfortable now. No, I don't need you to do anything other than just receive. This is your time. Let yourself honor this moment for you, taking this space and time out just for you now. Allow yourself to be loved. Allow yourself to be held. Exactly as you are. Supported, protected, creating this incredible container for yourself, one of safety, one of unconditional love, universe's love, container of light. Just allowing yourself to relax into the energy, to the universe's energy, reminding you of the possibility that you are the entire universe, that you are love, that you are loved. Back to the natural rhythms of your breathing. Allowing the breath just to ground the energy back. Being aware of the body. Slowly just wiggling the fingers. Perhaps placing your palms over the eyes. Or you can also just stay here. Stay down. Crazy. Take this moment. Take all the time that you need. This space. Love yourself. The care and attention that you crave. It's been such that Reiki with you, that energy healing in general. That this has been a gorgeous 90 minutes out of your day. And if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to get in touch afterwards. I will be sending out the replay tomorrow. I did just get a very clear message that I feel I have to share in that healing, and I don't know who this was for specifically, but I feel like someone has a very big decision to make. And it was so funny because as soon as I wrote that down, I literally wrote, someone has a decision to make. I picked up this card ask your soul. So, so that was definitely coming through for someone. So I just felt a real need to share that for you. Yes, but hopefully you all enjoyed that. And oh, thank you so much, Margarita. It was very beautiful. It was really beautiful for me too. As I said, Reiki's just so beautiful. So for me as well. Thank you so much, Ash. Thank you. Yes, if you've got and thanks, Marissa. Good. I'm so glad Jen feeling very calm. Thank you. Yeah, it's a really nice. Hopefully, just take it easy the rest of your evening, if you're in Australia, and yeah, being gentle. Sometimes so much can come up just in something super super nourishing like that, and sometimes it can just bring up some stuff as well. So just take that time to nurture and care for however you need to. Thank you, Brittany, as well. Very gratitude and lots of gratitude to have you here and share your energy. It's really beautiful to connect with you all. Please feel free to journal, take a bath, nourish yourself with some yummy food, good food. Yeah, drink lots of water, all the things you know that you need. And listen to your soul, listen to your body. Thank you very, very much. Good night. Bye.